Hey, so look, man, it's NBA playoff time. So I told y'all in the episodes, I love the playoffs. It is playoff time. So I like all I want to do is spit stuff out, right? Spit content, and just talk about this NBA stuff. This in the NFL playoffs, but preferably the NBA playoffs is like, to me, the epitome of what sports is about. So this isn't dropping on a typical day. There's a little bonus episode for you guys, as we just had the Pelicans and the Lakers play each other last night in the play-in game, and then we followed that up with the Warriors and the Kings. Now, the Pelicans and Lakers, getting into the game itself, is more what I'm going to talk about there. And, of course, their matchups, Zion, Bron, I think Zion's got the hamstring. And then when we get to Warriors and Kings, it'll be less about the game and more about the outlook, right? So if you are an NBA fan, if you want to nerd out about this stuff with me, this is the episode to listen to, because that's what we're about to do. If you're not really about it, that's cool, right? But we're here to get down to it, to the nitty gritty. I took notes. I'm watching games. I'm taking notes. The East Coast games, the 7:30 games are easier to catch, obviously, because I'm on the East Coast. But I'm taking notes, man. I'm loving it. And the Pelicans and Lakers didn't disappoint. So as I've mentioned, a lot of people feel like the playing game is like this great, whatever for basketball. I don't necessarily think it's like this super great thing. I don't hate it, but I certainly don't love it. But you always tend to have stars in there. You had Zion, you had Bron, AD, you had Steph, and you had the Kings with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and so on and so forth. So I guess, so you got stars. And we'll start with the Pelicans and the Lakers. The Lakers did dispose of the Pelicans in the first playing game in New Orleans, which was basically a rematch, or not even basically, it was a rematch of the last game of the season. The Lakers blew them out. And of course, everybody's kind of thinking all right, Pelicans, you guys got to show you're up for the challenge, because the Lakers treated the last game of the season like a playoff game, right? You guys treated the last game of the season like the last game of the season. You guys weren't up to the challenge. You guys had a chance to avoid the play-in altogether. You didn't do it. So now you're the 7th seed. And if you lose, you got to play. If you win, you got to play Denver first round. That's what you get for not taking, advantage of the moment down the stretch. But nevertheless, so we had the Pelicans, we had the Lakers. This time around was a much better game. And I took notes. Early on, the Pelicans were up for the moment, right? They're diving on loose balls. They're a little bit more chippy and physical, right? It's the playoffs. So now this is where the referees are swallowing their whistle a little bit more. You got to play through a lot more contact, and they let you do that. And guys like Zion thrive in that, right? I can throw a little bit more at you offensively. I know you can't stay in front of me. I'm too big for you to stay in front of me, so I can throw a little bit more at you. So that's number one. But number two, on defense, I can also be a little bit more physical with you as well. And so some of the physically imposing stuff, advantages I have over you, I can also use to my advantage on defense, right? So Zion is someone who benefits, as you see with his stat line. But Pelicans came out ready to play, right? First quarter, no team was playing defense to start, but that's okay. They came out ready to play. Everybody needed to settle in. We're running sets. We're getting loose. Everybody's getting pretty easy shots. Lakers came out, I think it started 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 from 3. D'Angelo Russell started out pretty hot. But game was close, back and forth. Like I said, I'm going to refer to my notes a lot here because I took them for that reason. But, that's anyway. So, yeah. Also, pregame, Charles Barkley on the broadcast said that Zion's got to be willing to step up to the challenge. He said, if somebody who's 39 years old wants to try to guard me, thinks they can guard me when I'm 23 or whatever, or however old Zion is, I need to show him he can't. And Zion responded. And when I say responded, obviously I know there's rap beef going on right now. So I know that when you hear responded, you're like, oh, so he said something to him? No. But he did come out there like, I want this. Right? So he came out there and he just attacked. LeBron took a charge, and like that was the first time where we saw a freight train come at LeBron in the way that LeBron has been towards all these other guys for all these years, where like he'll just blow through you. That was Zion to him. That was Zion to him. So yeah, Zion was up to the challenge. He ended up with 40 points that game, but I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So the Pelicans, they came out, they scrappy, but the Lakers were just too good, right? So the Pelicans in the second quarter were up 36-26 at one point. And in the second quarter, the Lakers went on a 28-8 run. So they were down 36-26. LeBron had come out the game. He gets back in, 28-8 run. Now they're up 54-44. Just like that. All in the second quarter. There's just no answer for LeBron. They were plus whatever a lot when he was on the court. They were minus a good amount when he was off the court. But I just loved how like it's so clear to see the impact LeBron James has on a game when you're watching it, even if you don't necessarily hear what's being said on the court. So you don't know the exact impacts of what he has an effect on and why things are happening the way they're happening, like why you're seeing what you're seeing. But you do see just the difference in the way the ball moves, the difference in the way the players move when he's on the court versus when he's not. And then for Zion, like I said, he was super aggressive. This is an opportunity for him to show out. He did show out, but the playoffs are where your weaknesses shine. Okay. Zion has a free throw. Well, yeah, Zion had a free throw problem. He's missing a lot of free throws, and he really only has one type of game, and that's like that bully ball. I'm going to power through you to get to the rim. I want to dunk. There's not a lot of finesse, which is fine. You don't necessarily have to have a lot of finesse, but you have to have other ways to score, right? So it can't always be because I caught an alley or I was one step from the rim, so I dunked it, or nothing like that. Like I got to be able to shoot. He did make one mid range off the dribble, but like that was the stuff that like Lakers are now we're going to pack the paint. We know you want to come up in here, and that's where he's going to have to improve, because if he becomes the player we thought he was going to become, especially the way he started his career, they're going to find themselves in playoffs, in playoff series. They made the playoffs without him when he was hurt. Was it last year? It might have been last year or the year before, but they've been up, but this was his first time. And the playoffs kind of exacerbate. They show some of your weaknesses, and so that's where his game has to develop next. Yes, we know you can go and score 24 points and get 9 to 11 rebounds a game. We know you can do that. We know you're athletic enough to have highlights. But to win, this is why the best players, like on like the team with the best player wins a lot of the time, is because to win, you have to take it a step further. You have to take out the weaknesses in your game, because teams are going to hone in solely on you. And that's what the Lakers did as far as how to stop him. And even with that, again, he had 40. It's not like, it's not like he didn't show out, but that's what I'm talking about. So third quarter comes, Lakers get up 13. They end up getting up like 18. And even when they were up 13 points, they're diving for loose balls. They're doing the stuff that I was talking about that the Pelicans were doing when they were scrappy to start the game. The Lakers were doing that all game. Up double-digit points, diving for the ball. Meanwhile, there was a play where two Lakers dove for the ball at one point. One dove, missed. The other one dove and got it. There were no Pelicans on the floor. And at that point, I said, oh, they don't want it. Like, I don't know if they aren't quite understanding the moment right now. And you would think when you have a leader like CJ McCollum on your squad, who's been in the playoffs, with Portland. He hadn't had a lot of success, but he's been in the playoffs and understands what this is, what this means. You would think that somebody like him would kind of help these guys understand. But again, not a lot of playoff experience for Zion, not a lot of playoff experience for Brandon Ingram, who disappeared, by the way. Not a lot of playoff experience for, Alvarado or Alvarez, whatever his last name is. They are young, and they're definitely young in the playoff experience realm, but it's still one of those things where it's like the crowd is packed live. They get a chance to see, the Anthony Davis left. He didn't want to stay here. We got Zion instead, and we get to hopefully see Zion beat him so we can come out on top. Like this was it. And it felt like they didn't really feel like they really wanted to play unless the crowd was into it. So once they got down 13, got down 18, it just kind of seemed like they're, but the Lakers being the Lakers, they have like these lulls where they just stop executing. And next thing you know, the Pelicans hit a couple threes, make a couple layups. Oh, they're down 10 now, timeout. Trickle. Oh, they're down 6 now, timeout. And then after 3 quarters, the Lakers are only up 7. The crowd's getting back into it. Guys are making deep threes. So they got one guy who he was knocking them down. Should have wrote his name down. I didn't. But at this point, the third quarter, I'm thinking, where's Brandon Ingram? Non-factor. I mean, let me look up Brandon Ingram's stat line because Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. CJ struggled. He couldn't buy a bucket, but Brandon Ingram, I don't know, man. It just felt like he was a non-factor. And then he wasn't in the game down the stretch. He only had one foul. He only had 11 points. And he took 12 shots. McCollum had 9 points. He took 15 shots. So it was kind of Zion or nothing. But anyway, fourth quarter comes. But then you see again, like I said, Lakers get in these execution lulls. And they got real tight in the fourth quarter. Turning the ball over. Everybody's trying to make the extra, there's the right pass, there's the extra pass, which usually is a good result. But then there is one too many extra passes. And that's one of those things where it's this is a good shot. Extra pass to, this is a really good shot. Oh, well, maybe that means the next pass is going to be a great shot. No. The next pass was back to a good shot. Now you have passed yourself out of a really good shot just for a good shot or an okay shot or a late in the shot clock shot. Shoot the ball. Don't get tight. And as they got tight and then the ball was out of LeBron's hands, turnover started happening, et cetera, while Zion on the other end again wants this moment is getting in transition, yada, yada, yada. Then he gets hurt. And this is the other thing that comes that kind of when I say the playoffs exacerbates your weaknesses because Zion gets hurt and he's playing a ton of minutes. He did not finish the game, but he still played 36 minutes. And what's his biggest thing? Injuries, durability, his weight, his physique, how in shape is he? All that stuff comes into play. And when it's the playoffs and everything is harder, 36 minutes feels like 42 minutes in the playoffs, right? 36 minutes in the regular season is light work. But 36 minutes in the playoffs, like I said, feels like 42, 44 minutes because everything matters. And everything hurts and everything is even harder. Brandon Ingram was not even in the game. He played 25 minutes. I understand he was hurt, so I think he's coming off injury, so maybe that's a little bit of it. But I wrote down where is he? CJ is definitely not CJ McCollum from Portland no more. He couldn't make shots. And when you don't have, they don't really have a bona fide, they could use a Devin Booker on that team. Brandon Ingram is fine, but I think he can get buckets, but he's not a bona fide bucket getter. That's not how I see Brandon Ingram. And when I say bona fide bucket getter, I mean, yes, Brandon Ingram is a bucket. He's about a bucket. He'll average 20-something points a game. Devin Booker is a bona fide bucket getter. Kevin Durant is a bona fide bucket getter. So I'm talking about top level guys. I think they could use someone who's in the top level and just scoring. They don't have to be top level all around. Just in the scoring department, someone who can break a defense down. Like I said, Zion's kind of got one play style that's bully ball. And when you're playing in a more physical realm, as far as the playoffs is concerned, people are packing the paint and people are trying to make you do what your weakness is. It's a lot harder to get that off. So Lakers win 110-106. Pelicans, they got another one. And that's another thing. In the third quarter, I almost felt like they were like, okay, we're probably gonna lose this game, but it's okay because we'll play again for the 8 seed. Maybe we probably rather play Oklahoma City than Denver anyway. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Who knows? It just kind of seemed like that. And then once the crowd got into it because the game got close because the Lakers stopped executing, they were like, oh, I guess we could win this. Well, we might as well try. The crowd's into it. Why not? So that's just kind of what that is. Lakers and Pelicans. Lakers 110-106. They now get Denver. Pelicans, they play the winner of the Warriors and the Kings, which was the Kings. And I'll get to that next.